It's been 5 days since our baby was born. Suddenly, my husband showed up out of nowhere and shoved divorce papers in my face. If you think you're too important just because you had a baby, I'll divorce you right away. You'd be in trouble if we split up, right? There's no way you can raise a baby on your own. I was furious and snatched the divorce papers from him. It's useless to try tearing them up. You're just my servant anyway. Ignoring his mocking words, I signed the papers and said, "Fine, let's get divorced." My name is Stella, and I'm 32 years old. I met my husband, Leonardo, at work, and we've been married for 4 years. He used to say, "I'll work hard and earn money, so I want Stella to support me. When we have kids, I want her to stay at home." Leonardo's parents both worked when he was a child, so he felt lonely. He didn't want our child to go through the same thing. I agreed and became a stay-at-home mom after we got married. Leonardo was over 30 when we got married, so he wanted kids right away. I wanted some time with just the two of us first, but I also wanted children, so I agreed. I thought we could enjoy our time together later when we were older. But 1 year passed, then 2 years, and we still didn't have a baby. As I turned 30, I started to worry. Leonardo became annoyed and started blaming me. "Why can't you get pregnant? There are lots of working women who get pregnant, but you're just at home and can't even do that. What's wrong with you?" I wanted to get pregnant too, but he acted like it was all my fault. Being a stay-at-home wife has nothing to do with pregnancy. His attitude only got worse. "You don't have kids and you're just lazing around at home, so at least do the housework right. Don't be spoiled." The chores Leonardo asked me to do kept getting harder and harder. It felt like I was more of a maid than a wife. Living far from my hometown, I didn't have any friends nearby. I barely went out, except to buy groceries. I wasn't working, so I barely had any money to spend on myself. My life felt suffocating. It wasn't just Leonardo making me feel trapped. 2 years into our marriage, with no news of a baby, his parents started asking questions. "Where's our grandchild?" they would say. Leonardo turned to me and said, "It's your fault we don't have a baby." I felt completely alone, with no one to talk to. The pressure from everyone weighed on me, making my life feel darker and darker. But one day, the endless struggle seemed to come to an end. He found out I was pregnant. The pregnancy test showed a clear positive line, and tears of joy filled my eyes. Finally, I was going to have a baby. Trying to hold back my excitement, I took a picture of the test and sent it to Leonardo. I thought, once he knows I'm pregnant, he'll go back to being his old, loving self. But hours passed, and I didn't get a response from him. When he came home late that night, he just handed me his bag and jacket. Like always, he didn't say anything or act any different. Wait, did he not see the photo? Leonardo sat on the sofa and started watching TV without a word. During dinner, he still didn't mention anything, so I decided to bring it up myself. "Leonardo, I sent you a photo. Did you see it? I'm pregnant. We're going to have a baby," I said, smiling and holding back happy tears. But he just stared at the TV, his face showing no emotion. Finally, he spoke in a cold voice. "Seems like it. Is that all?" I couldn't understand why he wasn't happy. Why didn't he look excited? This was our baby. I thought this was what he wanted all along. Trying to fight off my anxiety, I asked him, "Hey, aren't you happy? You always said you wanted a child. You wished for it so much, right?" I hoped he would show some joy, share my feelings, but his words shattered my hopes. "Don't act all proud just because you got pregnant, okay? Do you even know how long I've been waiting? Don't think I'll be nice just because you're pregnant. You're not working, so I expect you to keep doing the housework like always." I never planned on slacking off. I just wanted him to say, "I'm happy, that's all." My tears of joy from just a moment ago have now turned into tears of sadness. Without paying any attention to me, Leonardo heads to the bedroom without saying a word. Why couldn't he be happy for me? He always said he wanted a child so badly. Later, at the doctor's office, I found out I was pregnant with twins. But Leonardo still didn't show any sign of happiness. Maybe it just doesn't feel real to him yet since my belly isn't big. I tried to believe that he realized it as my belly grew. A few weeks passed, and morning sickness began, along with constant tiredness. Even then, Leonardo didn't show any concern for my health or help with housework. During a checkup, I received shocking news: you're at risk for a miscarriage. Please try to rest as much as possible, the doctor said. Hearing the word miscarriage made my world feel like it was falling apart, but knowing there was still hope for my babies, I took a deep breath and tried to stay calm. The doctor's instructions were strict but rest at home. I needed Leonardo's help. I contacted him right away, but just like when I told him about the pregnancy, he didn't respond. When he came home that night, I told him about the doctor's orders, but his attitude stayed the same. After a few days of struggling alone, I decided to go back to my parents' house to rest properly. That night, Leonardo coldly told me, "Don't get lazy and gain weight while you're there, okay? And remember, you still need to take care of the house when you get back. Don't slack off too much." On the day I left, even though we wouldn't see each other for a while, Leonardo just left the house early in the morning without saying goodbye. With my parents' help, I managed to get through those difficult weeks. After several checkups, I finally got good news: the babies were safe, and there was no longer a risk of miscarriage. That was the only good news I had. I called Leonardo to share the update, hoping he'd at least sound a bit relieved, but when he picked up the phone, his response was indifferent. "Oh, that's good. Well, bye." Just as he was about to hang up, I heard a woman's voice in the background. "Leonardo, who are you talking to?" I asked quickly. There was no mistake. The woman was calling Leonardo by his name. My heart sank. I had a bad feeling that Leonardo didn't love me anymore. I didn't want to believe it, but after hearing that woman's voice, I couldn't deny it any longer. Now everything makes sense. His cold attitude, his lack of excitement about the babies, he must have been seeing someone else. As I rubbed my growing belly, I made up my mind. I'll divorce him and raise these twins by myself. After being cooped up at home for nearly 2 months, I decided to go for a walk. It was a warm, sunny day, and the fresh green leaves sparkled in the sunlight. Just then, I heard someone call my name from behind. It was my childhood friend, Jameson. We hadn't seen each other in years, so he happily invited me for tea. We talked about old memories and shared what was going on in our lives. Jameson told me he had become a lawyer and had just opened his own small office. When I heard what he did, I had an idea. Without thinking, I blurted out, "Hey, you can't get compensation for infidelity, right?" Hearing this, Jameson's expression turned serious. "What's going on? If something's bothering you, I'll listen," he said. Before I realized it, I started sharing my problems with him. He struggled to get pregnant, my husband's cold behavior, and how he seemed happier spending time with another woman. As I spoke, I noticed I was tearing up. "It must have been really tough for you," Jameson said softly. His kind words made the tension inside me break. Even though I was an adult, I ended up crying without caring if others saw. "Calm down. It's okay. I'll help you," Jameson said, desperately trying to comfort me. "First, let's gather some evidence. You can't do anything without proof of infidelity. Physical evidence, like photos or records. Do you think you can do it?" "I don't know," I replied uncertainly. "Should I introduce you to a private detective agency I know? They're experienced with gathering evidence for divorce cases, so they can help." "Thank you. That would be a big help," I said. After that, I took Jameson's advice and hired a private detective. The detective found out that Leonardo had been bringing his mistress to our home and practically living with her while I was at my parents' house. The mistress was a third-year employee at the same company Leonardo and I used to work at. Everyone there knew Leonardo was married, so she must have known too. Their affair had been going on for 2 years. Right around the time Leonardo started getting frustrated that we couldn't have a child. He blamed me for not having a baby, treated me like a maid, and showed no happiness when I finally got pregnant. I was scared and worried because it was my first pregnancy, but the whole time, he was busy with another woman. When I learned the truth, I shook with anger, so this is why he didn't care when I told him I was pregnant. While I was suffering, he was out enjoying himself. I decided that just divorcing him wouldn't be enough. He would make sure he paid for what he did. I had several meetings with Jameson, the lawyer, and we came up with a plan. Jameson was very supportive and always checked on how I was feeling. Then, on my due date, I gave birth to healthy twins. 5 days after the birth, when the pain from my surgery had just started to ease, Leonardo suddenly showed up. Hey, long time no see. You get to stay in the hospital for 9 days. Must be nice. Such a luxury. It's not like you gave birth alone. You were slow to get pregnant, slacked off on housework when you went back to your parents, and then had a C-section. You're a failure as a woman. I couldn't believe he was saying these things, especially to his wife who had just given birth. He didn't even look at the babies. I didn't want to accept that this man was the father of my children. Holding back my anger, I watched as Leonardo handed me a piece of paper. He had already signed it. Don't think you can't get away with being lazy just because you had kids, or else it's straight to divorce. You'd be in trouble if we divorced. Right? Don't slack off on housework just because you have kids. I won't forgive you. He sneered, waving the papers in front of me. My anger boiled over. I snatched the papers from him. Tearing it up is pointless. You know, I can't just get another copy from the city office, he said mockingly. Ignoring him, I took a pen out of my bag. Fine, let's get divorced. I've been wanting this too. Leonardo looked stunned. Huh? Do you even know what you're saying? What will you do with these kids if you divorce me? You can raise them alone. Stop being stubborn and just accept being my servant for the rest of your life. I've already told my parents we're getting divorced. From now on, I'll live with them. I don't need a man who cheats on me. How long do you think you can't keep up this act? You can't make it without me. You regret this when it's too late, he threatened. At that moment, a voice interrupted. Excuse me, my name is Mr. Wood, and I'm Stella's lawyer. It was Jameson. Leonardo was startled and immediately let go of the divorce papers. Who are you? What do you mean, lawyer? He stepped forward, raising his voice as if to intimidate Jameson. But Jameson stayed calm. We already have evidence of your affair. If you don't agree to the divorce, we'll go to court. If you refuse to pay compensation or negotiate, we'll also pursue legal action. Wait, I didn't agree to a divorce, Leonardo suddenly protested. What was he talking about? He was the one who brought up divorce in the first place. I couldn't stand his ridiculousness. While Jameson tried to reason with him, I handed the signed divorce papers to Jameson. Mr. Wood, please handle this. Leonardo tried to grab the papers back, but Jameson quickly put them in his bag. I'll take care of it, he said calmly, with a firm and confident look. Realizing he couldn't win against the lawyer, Leonardo turned to me. You're joking, right? We're not really getting divorced, are we? You can't live without me. You know, twins cost a lot of money. You'll be in big trouble without me, he rambled. I glared at him coldly. I can't believe you were saying this when you were the one who wanted a divorce. Yes, we're getting divorced, and I'm taking alimony. You never planned to help with the housework or kids, right? What did you mean when you said I should be your slave? Don't look down on women, I shouted, my anger boiling over. Leonardo stood there, shocked. If you have anything else to say, go through Mr. Wood. There's no point coming here. I'll make sure you're not allowed back, I continued firmly. Hearing this, Leonardo's face turned red with rage. He raised his fist as if to hit me, but at that moment, Jameson cleared his throat. Leonardo lowered his fist, realizing he couldn't do anything. That's enough. Please leave, Jameson said calmly. Defeated, Leonardo slumped his shoulders and left the room. After that, I asked my parents to submit the divorce papers to the city office, and it was officially Donna was finally divorced. But after that day, Leonardo wouldn't stop calling and messaging me, so I had to change my phone number. Jameson handled the rest professionally. I received the proper amount, of alimony from Leonardo and his affair partner, so I wouldn't have to worry about money for a while. A few months later, both Leonardo and his mistress left the company. Their affair had been exposed, and the woman quit on her own. Leonardo got transferred to a rural office, but rumors followed him there. He had a hard time fitting in, started skipping work, and was eventually fired. As for me, I moved back in with my parents and focused on raising my twins. It was tough learning to take care of two babies, but I managed, thanks to my parents and Jameson. One day, Jameson confessed his feelings to me. He said, "I don't mind if you have kids or a past, please be with me." He told me to take my time and think about it, but I already knew how I felt. Not long after, we got married. Jameson now treats the twins like his own children. My parents and I can't thank him enough for his support and love. From now on, I want to build a happy life together with Jameson and our children.